I kind of want to do this intro in my Australian accent to be like Stat, but I don't think my Australian accent is sounds like Stat. We can say it's not bad, but I just don't sound like Stat. I don't think I'd do it justice. As we are here for race week preseason, race week PS of what is the Tier 3 racing for the Midwest F1 League, going with F2 cars for this one. As this was a league that was made up by one of the drivers from Tier 1 and Tier 2 who wanted to get a bunch of the drivers and the outside drivers from the Midwest F1 League to create what is this Tier 3 F2 car league. So we got Monkey Mafia, who's going to be jumping in with me in the broadcast booth as this goes on, and who will take it over at some point, as yeesh. Hopefully those connections aren't too bad. But tonight, the Monkey Mafia is having some mic troubles, so he will be representing the Carlin. I guess that's be replacing, I think it's ZGS who will be replaced tonight. Yes, as JC, his teammate, is in. But a lot of familiar faces that you can see from our Tier 1 and Tier 2 leagues here. As Nikki, yes, he's a reserve tonight. I guess reserving in preseason, but reserving as it is, as Mahi is here. So yeah, Nikki is reserving for Random Serious. The Arden team of BWT will be the Lees, we can say it, as Tim Lee and his father, from what I've been told, in 78 Corvette, presenting Virtusi, I think that's how you pronounce it. Uni Virtusi Racing. Familiar drivers in Kenny and Barry. Trident. We have Kit Link and Bloxham. Thank you everyone for joining me so far for this. As we're set up for some exciting racing, as from what I got here, I'm not sure about the reserves right now, is Kit Link will be representing Trident along with Bloxham, Tier 2 and a Tier 1 driver. Prima has Asnik, and let me see if I can think Garusvac. I want to see if that'll be it, as Asnik is a reserve now on the Williams team for Tier 2. MP Motorsport is represented by Freeman and Cam, as Freeman is in Tier 2, Cam being in Tier 1. Sauber Jr. has Narniel 97 and Lord Zed, both reserves in this league. Let me just confirm my suspicion. And then it is one-shot qualifying here, as I'll just stay on with Freeman here, as it's not really worth me jumping around. Carlin has ZGS and JC Blackley, as I mentioned before, but Monkey Mafia will be in for ZGS here today, as Freeman goes off early, and I'm assuming other people are as well, as there's a lot of movement at the bottom. Unfortunately, Nikki has an early spin. We get on with Smokemon here, who is a driver that will be moving up into Tier 1 on Thursday here and tune in tomorrow. Actually, tune in for a pre-race interview with Smokemon 5 minutes before we go, or until we get into our qualifying. Around 6:25, we'll predict our time being. As I continue down the Smokemon, he is with Spaceman representing Dam. Spaceman being an F2 driver, or Tier 2. And then finally, Art has the best Pawns and Kaz, both being F2 Tier 2 drivers in the Midwest F1 League. So thank you again for joining us this evening, as this is the preseason for Tier 3. I have a lot of different drivers, I guess. A lot of very familiar faces here, though, with many of them being from Tier 1 and Tier 2, as it seems that Smokemon will get pole. Kenny, I believe, just jumped up above the best Pawns in the last little second there, but about 4 in the 143s, a couple in the 144s, and then it seems like we had some spin-outs and crashes and whatnot, as this F2 car is very much different from the F1. As I was going in the time trials earlier, and I was just, it's you don't have the grip that you normally do. I get, or yeah, we can just say that you don't have that grip. It's you don't have the power. As Monkey Mafia opted for hards there, still found himself 13th. As Kenny actually opted for hards there as well. As we'll look at our grid here, we got Smokemon, Kenny, both F1, the best Pawns F2, MX Blocks on F1, JC, Aston Cam, Garrus Vac, Lord Zed, Tim Lee, Phonius, as he is replacing Spaceman for today. V-Man, Monkey Mafia's V-Man, oh Christ, he's representing, I think he's taking over Kaz today. And then many more, as we didn't really get too much down the list, but yes, I'm struggling with that F2 Tier 2, but I'll get it. I keep freaking up. But it is what it is. It's preseason. I'll take it for a preseason for me, man. I mean, Christ, why not? I have done quite a few races here, but yeah, I've done quite a few streams. I should be able to. I should be in mid-season form, we can say. But we're just going into our countdown here, going into this lovely preseason adventure we're going to embark on, as we are gaining our 5 red lights, and they are up and they are out, as Smokemon gets off fairly well, as is the best Pawns, as we have a little bit of moving and jumping and bungling in the back here, but looks like early best Pawns will get Kenny on that first corner. We have some moving around. We have a cone that's launched, and we have a crash in the back of the field there, as it looks like it was Corvette, Monkey Mafia, and Phonius, we'll say. As I'll get up my boards here, we'll get the full map on. Seems V-Man is right with Tim Lee, as Tim Lee is holding him off. V-Man nearly does go off track a little bit. We'll get right on board with him here. A lot of movement down the back of the field, but I'm assuming that's just all settling down here as the best Pawn collects a penalty. V-Man gets right in the back of Tim Lee, and looks like he got a little bit of piece of him and pushed him out back as Cam takes up a spot, and Tim Lee drops back 2 positions. Freeman gets 10 seconds for cutting. Still on with V-Man though, not Freeman but V-Man, as he is getting on the back of Bloxham, as Bloxham goes off track to get around Garrus back, and Garrus drifts that very nicely, we can say, as whoa, out of nowhere Tim Lee just shoots that, or sorry, it was Cam, shoots that inside line on V-Man. I don't think V-Man knew that he was coming. Tim Lee struggling for a little bit of traction here, as we're just about to finish lap 1 of a 15 lap preseason race. As Freeman overtakes Cam once again, as we got a nice little battle for 7th here. Freeman and Narniel seem to be going at it. Unfortunately, Freeman went off. As we have some early pitting. As Nikki and Lord Zed unfortunately had to go in. Smokemon picking up fastest lap. Not being able to lose the best pawns. Tim Lee unfortunately going deep into that corner, turn 1 there. Bloxham and Garrus are right side by side. Bloxham takes over. Garrus comes back around the outside, going into the inside. Somewhat pushing into MX Bloxham there. V-Man takes him over. As now, unfortunately, Bloxham is going to be losing 3 positions as him and Cam go wide, going into that long DRS stretch. Now coming into turn 8, side by side. Bloxham will have the inside. Let's get right on board with Cam here. As he's kind of watching those two battle there for 6. Some lovely racing. Ooh, Cam going for the inside again. Seems to have got it. V-Man got off the outside line, but keeps good traction and holds the 7th place. Now Mahi taking a huge lunge. And now he takes over 8th place of Cam, who was Thursday night Tier 1 League's race winner. Mahi's getting a little bit of connection lag, as that's some fun driving that he's looking like he's doing there. Staying in 8th. A little bit of jumping in around down the field. Seems like the top half of that field there has settled down. We did have a battle for 5th there, but it seems that Garrus back has opened up that gap to him and blocks him a little bit. Now we're kind of following the battle for 7th here, as there's a half a second gap between Mahi and Fee-Man. Trying to make up that gap. Unfortunately, Cam goes a little wide. He's going to have Narniel to deal with. Narniel taking the inside. Cam not giving up. Still holding that outside line. Narniel has that inside. And unfortunately, Cam goes off and then smokes into the wall. Is he going to find himself down the field? V-Man does get passed by Mahi, as unfortunately V-Man does not have DRS. Mahi does. Also takes a cleaner line going into turn 8. Coming out of turn 9 here. Love seeing that connection lag. That'll give him a 3-second time penalty. Coming into that long straight stretch up into turn 10. V-Man may not be able to have enough of a run. Let's get on with Astanek, because he's got a pretty good run on Barry here. A lot of penalties being handed out. I'm not really taking too much of those into account today, as it is only preseason. I will kind of log them down as we go into the season. Astanek having the inside line on Barry. Barry looking for, no, it doesn't take the switchback opportunity. Astanek will collect himself into 11th place, but Barry, knowing him, he will not give that up quite easily, as he will have DRS coming this long straight coming into turn 1 there. Speaking of long straights into turn 1, we're on with Mahi. Garrus Vac also does have DRS. Barry will go into the pit, so he will opt out of that battle. Mahi getting right on the back of Garrus Vac here. Unfortunately, Garrus also had DRS, and Mahi couldn't truly make a move, but he seems to have some pretty good traction here. Might be able to take a lunge, but no. Opts out of it into turn 3, coming through 4 now, with Garrus Vac in front. Garrus now is second behind, as Mahi takes a lunge, gets a little bit of clippage onto the front, or the back of Garrus there, but Garrus holds that position well. But no DRS. Mahi, as we look on the back of Garrus Vac's wing here, kind of running out of time, does not opt for it, as he didn't have that good of traction coming out into that long stretch from turn 7 going into turn 8 and 9 in the little chicane. Still looking at the back of Mahi right now, as Narniel is the biggest mover of the day with 9 positions. Unfortunately, Cam is the biggest mover downward with 11, with that crash that we saw a couple laps ago. He should have enough time to get himself back into this tennis. He is known to be one of the more skilled drivers in this league. Kenny, with those medium tires, is now able to close the gap on the best pawns running in those softs. Kenny doesn't look like he has enough time to truly make a lunge, but he will start getting the true better grip now, as the best pawns and Smokemon's grips will start to fade off here. We'll just jump on with best pawns, as yes, he is also on softs as well. Mahi does finally look to be getting back Garris back as they go wheel to wheel, and now they're front and back here coming into turn 4, as I got caught looking at wheels here and missed the battle between for sixth place here. Mahi's gonna have a little bit of work to do, as Garris will get DRS coming in out of turn 7 here, as Mahi goes a little wide, keeps his racing line still very clean. B-Man jumps, Freeman, sorry. B-Man, Freeman. It's a tough one. No, unfortunately, Garris Vac does not have the time or the room to get it. Freeman will go to the inside. Aztec will go to the outside. Breaks a little later. Came close to cutting off Freeman, but I think he gave him enough of a racing line. He did have that whole near car's length ahead, so I'll give him that clean pass for Asnick, as he finds himself now into 10th. Freeman dropping down to 11th, just a second outside. Narniel is still right on the back of Garris Vac here, as he gets some lovely traction coming through this final sector into turn 14. Garris will go to the pit. I think that will still give Narniel DRS here, though. Yes, it will. Having Mahi now within its sights. There we go. Looking at the tires, kind of strategies, I guess you can say. A lot opting for the hards with 9 laps to go. Kenny's still on those hard tires. Should be able to start closing that gap on Smokemon. As Smokemon will have to offer the mediums, then Kenny will be able to go to those soft tires in the final laps there. As this race has kind of started to open up now, and it seems to be the pit strategies is what's going to be the difference for a lot of these drivers, as it should be, and it normally is in Formula 1. But I'm just saying, as for today, it truly seems to be coming in, as there's a lot of second-and-a-half gaps between all these drivers here, other than this battle now for 10th place between two cars with fresh hards and Garris Vac and Feeman, as Feeman goes off wide, keeps it clean, will still get DRS. Probably won't have the traction or the time to make a lunge into 8, as no, he won't. Getting into the braking zone, brakes later than Garris Vac, gets right up on the back of him, coming through turn 8 now into turn 9. Oh, unfortunately, gets a little too heavy on the throttle. He'll be able to keep his front wing, shred his hards a little bit, but he's going to find himself going down a couple positions in this race. As we got penalties galore. There we go, Smokemon going into the pits. Now Kenny jumping up into first. 15-second gap. I'm not sure the exact time for pit stopping here, going into 22-second. As Smokemon is now exiting, going into turn 1. Kenny is all alone in sector 2 now, with the only other car being a 78 Corvette, who is on the lap behind, or will be on the lap behind if Kenny is able to surpass him. The best pawn still looking very good here, as it seems Smokemon lost about 25 seconds, I'm going to say, in that pit stop. So just kind of wondering when Kenny is going to opt for the pits here. sorry, Barry and Tim Lee were right side by side, and then it seems that Tim Lee got pushed off by Barry. I don't want to assume. That may have happened, may have not happened. Tim Lee might have just found himself off and see Barry maybe try to help him back on, but unfortunately all I see is Tim Lee off track and Barry driving away, collecting 14th place. Asnick and Enrique, 6 lap old soft tires here. You'd imagine they come in pretty soon here. Let's see. They should find themselves down into 11th or 12th when they pit, I'd imagine. As Nicky and Lord Zed still yet to pit. Asnick gets a very good jump out of turn 11 into 12 now, as he made up quite a bit of ground on Enrique, now right on the tail. As there we go, both going to the pit. Ooh! As we had a little bit of a racing to the pit entrance there. That was kind of fun. As there we see blocks, I'm starting to jump up. Enrique and Asnick, as I was saying, my prediction was 11th or 12th, and maybe 13th and 14th. I wonder when Kenny is going to pit. That gap is somewhat staying at 21.5 there. It fell off a bit. Oh, 11th and 12th. What a prediction for me. Oh, it seems we have a yellow flag and everything. Or no, shoot. There we go. Is off and spinning around on this. And 13th, now 14th as Cam goes zipping by into 13th place for free. Mayan blocks him, tussling it out for 5th place here. As there is no battery power for the F2 cars, so that overtake button is not, as Enrique seems to have gone off back in the beginning of Sector 2. Is there any cars that are going to be coming through there? Kenny is going to... As speaking of Kenny, Smokemon has made up 5 seconds, so Kenny must have gone off somewhere. It seems we have a virtual safety car. I'm not getting any readings here. As you see, that car is off screen. I'd imagine it is just a virtual. More penalties to be collected by the other drivers here. As some may take this opportunity for a free pit. So I think Enrique might have given it a little too much coming out of this turn here with his tires still hot from that spin out at in the beginning of Sector 1. I'd imagine he didn't have the traction. As now that gap between Kenny and Smokemon has really decreased, as Smokemon has taken off nearly 10 seconds. Kenny's going to have to pit sometime soon. He should be able to pit and come back into 3rd place. But the gap between 3rd and then what would be 2nd between the best pawns would be around 7 seconds. We have a little bit more jumping. As unfortunately Tim Lee also goes off and drives right across as Cam nearly has T-bone steak for dinner. JC, the only man in the top 10 here with the soft tires, as everyone else is on those mediums. But as I said, Kenny still has to pit here. When he does, I'd imagine it'd be to the hard tire, or the soft tires, sorry. Kenny is into the pits. Smokemon takes back 1st place. The best pawns is coming through turn 11 now in Sector 3. As I don't think that... Oh no, sorry, he was... Oh, I was looking at the wrong car there. Yes, the best pawns does collect 2nd place, and now that gap... Ooh, and now Kenny Wolf drop back into 4th, into 5th as well, as now he's going to have 2 cars to jump and about 5 seconds. Oh, yeah, about 5 seconds to make up 4 seconds, sorry, to get himself onto this first preseason. Bloxham found himself pitting in DRS range of Nicky, but it seems Nicky got a really nice jump out there, so this won't be the turn for the best pawns, or what am I talking about, the best pawns? Bloxham, sorry, to make up that gap and find himself into 11th place as he's currently sitting in 12th. Kenny does overtake Narneal in that DRS section there in Sector 2 going into 8 and 9. V-Man collecting more penalties here as there are 5 laps left in this preseason race, as Smokemon seems to have a pretty convincing win here. 4.5 second gap separating him and the best pawns for second place. Kenny does not seem he will have the laps to make up that time. As Smokemon finding himself into Tier 1 here. As I said before, tune in a little early this tomorrow for an exclusive interview with Smokemon for what his journey in Tier 1 racing is going to be. JC getting right into V-Man here. Going in turn 14, going on the outside with those fresher and better tires. I'm not sure who collected DRS there. It may have been V-Man. Yes, it was V-Man. V-Man staying pretty close. He may be able to take a lunge back at him. He's not taking the slipstream, as no, he won't have enough room to be able to take a jab back at JC. JC should be able to open up this lead for 7th place between V-Man and JC with those fresher softs. Kenny now finding himself, speaking of fresher softs, within nearly a second of Mahi for 3rd place as he looks to get himself on the podium here. Kenny being one of our better drivers in Tier 2, you can say, is one of the driver's standings here. He's currently in 2nd behind Mosser. As he's finding himself in 2nd place, setting a purple Sector 2, but he's found himself in 2nd place without collecting a race win. A couple of podiums, but no race wins. As he wasn't on podium, the last 2 races, so 3 of the last 4 races he's been on, 4 of the last 5 races he's been on podium. So very consistent driver for podiums, but unfortunately not able to take that final step up onto the top step. As he's going at Mahi. Mahi being another racer in the Tier 1 League, representing the Alfa Romeos, will drop back into 4th as he won't have the tire traction to keep up with Kenny here. As I said before, JC Blackley finds himself now as 2nd and a half, split between him and V-Man for 7th place there. Can Mahi stay within a 2nd? Says Kenny gives us a purple Sector 1 as he is motoring, but unfortunately it doesn't look like the gap, or the gap is too far gone for him to make up the time for 2nd place. Mahi not giving up, still staying within the 2nd here as Kenny picks up a 3-second time penalty. I'm not sure what Mahi has or what Kenny has, but as we see Tim Lee off the track, unfortunately in 18th place. We've got some drivers who are avoiding Tim there. Tim Lee a full second back now, or full lap, sorry, more than just 1 second, full lap back. Cam looking to get to 9th place before this race is said and done with older hards, but a man of sheer pace as he put on display at Zandvoort there. As the race was his from virtual start to finish. And it seemed that way as soon as he drove out on track for qualifying, taking pole in the qualifying as well in that race. 1 week ago, tomorrow actually, as Cam collected his second win of the year on Tuesday of last week, looking to go 3 and close that win gap with Mosser, as Mosser currently has 4. Cam being the only other driver to win other than Kit Link, who had a very convincing win in Monaco. Cam may seem to have found his groove though. Or he may be able to find more of his groove, as unfortunately he had that crash out in Japan week prior to Zandvoort, which was his race to win as well. But if Cam didn't crash that through that Sector 1 slalom there into what was Mosser's teammate Nicky, ending both of their races, he'd be on 3 wins. As you'd imagine, he'd come for the finish, as he gets a little Tokyo drift coming out of turn 6 there. Now in his 7th as... I'm on Bloxham. Now I'm on Cam. There we go. Sorry, but as I was saying, Cam would have 3 wins, and Mosser would have 3 wins as well. As Mosser with 4, Cam now with 2. That Suzuka dub was virtually gifted to Mosser. Now Cam has a couple races he's going to have to make up to close that gap on Mosser, as that spin out in Suzuka just keeps sounding worse and worse and worse as I talk. Smokemon has opened up his lead another 1.5 seconds. Kenny has closed it about 4 seconds on the best pawns, but as I said before, not enough time. Opened up a nice 5-second cushion between him and Mahi, maybe erasing that 3-second time penalty from before. Drivers close enough to truly make a difference or a change in the standings here seems to be Cam and Astnik. Astnik recently entering the league, having a couple of races in F2. Seems to be a fairly clean driver at press. Within a half a second. But as I said before, no battery power. As that gap closes and closes as they enter the break point, but not close enough for Cam to truly make a lunge. Oh, the Astnik goes a little bit wide and kind of opens the door a little bit for Cam, but unfortunately not open enough, as Cam didn't have that line as Astnik quickly closed that door as fast as he opened it. Coming through that long, sweeping, all flat out turn of turn 10, coming into this big little loop of turn 11. Cam looking at that inside, but unfortunately Astnik keeps fairly clean, and Cam picks himself up at 3 seconds. Astnik going wide as they swoop in through turn 13, finishing up the last couple turns in Sector 3, going onto that last lap as Smokemon is going into Sector 2 all alone. It seems it's a nice 6-second gap. Cam gets a really nice turn out of turn 15, now coming onto that straight stretch, having DRS right in the split stream. He should be able to take a lunge as he does go in for that inside. Astnik goes in the outside. Cam doesn't want to take a true lunge, as maybe giving himself or wanting to take that DRS section in Sector 2. So we'll get right on back with him. Somewhat of a cat and mouse game in this last lap here. Cam did have that inside line, but didn't make it stick. So now he gets a pretty good jump out. Now he was far closer now within a quarter second. Taking that DRS as that back wing opens. Going to the inside line of Astnik. There he goes, and he does keep it clean. As now Astnik finds himself in 10th place as Cam goes into 9th, going to the final sector here. Smokebomb coming over the line. collecting first place. Best Bond seems to have some penalties and finds himself 15 seconds back. Kenny almost makes up that gap for third place. Fourth and fifth seem to be pretty solid. Mahi had quite a few penalties himself. As there you go, Narnil actually jumps up into fourth because of those penalties. Sorry. Gareth Vack will collect 6th. JC Blackley seems to get 7th. Fee-Man 8th. We have a final battle for 9th, but unfortunately Asnick doesn't seem he'll be able to make it stick. JC getting his 5 seconds for unserved. I'm not sure if Cam will jump back. Will he? No, Nikki actually makes quite a few jumps back. Nikki jumps back up. Sorry, what am I talking about? Cam and Asnick jumped back, and Nikki jumps into 9th, and now Cam and Asnick, which were battling for 9th, turned into a battle for 10th. As there we go, the final couple drivers here is Freeman. Coming to the final turn, as we can see him go through. As our preseason is finishing up here. Lord Zed, who, from what I remember, did have a race with the F1 back in that Void race in Brazil. And I remember him having a fairly decent race, if I can go back to the results here. Nope, no I can't. I don't have the results for Brazil, but Smokeman, as we're starting to get used to seeing his face up on the podium in the lower tiers, can he do it in the higher tiers now? Getting himself the preseason race win. He'll be in the Ferrari driving along with Bloxham. So a very familiar sight with Smokemon as he's entering the season a little bit late, but may have a chance to make some noise up the leaderboards. He seems to be the only man without a penalty here. This will go down a little bit. Yeah, I thought he did, Pork. Yeah, so didn't seem like Zed brought it today or had it today. Yeah, it seems Smokemon was the only man this race without a penalty here, as we'll go through it quickly. As Smokemon and the best pawns, both F2 drivers, find themselves 1-2. Kenny, a very consistent F1 driver, tier 1, finds himself 3rd. Narnil, a new face, 4th. Mahi, 5th. Gareth Vack, new face, as is JC Blakely, 6th and 7th. Fee-Man, 8th. Nikki, 9th. Cam, 10th. Asnick, 11th. Bloxham, 12th. Lord Zed, C. Barry, Freeman, 13th, 14th, 15th. Monkey Mafia, the man who's running this whole thing, in 16th. Fionius, Tim Lee, Corvette, and Enrique find themselves bringing up the rear in 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th, I think it was. But thank you for tuning in to this lovely stream. As being at a preseason, I don't think we'll get on any interviews here today. But I appreciate all the viewership. Oh, there is a sprint race. Lovely stuff. Okay, cool. That's why I was kind of confused why it was 25%. I should have done my research. Oopsie, oopsie, oopsie. Point structure. Yes, sprint race. Awesome. Okay, we are going to get into a sprint race here. This is going to be fun. Fun stuff, fun stuff, fun stuff. As Smokemon is going to find himself back in the back of the pack. As Enrique will find himself unfortunately crashing out, but being known to be one of the more consistent drivers in Tier 1, will be starting on pole. So it may be a nice and easy victory for him. If he gets off a good jump and doesn't have any troubles going into turn 1, we may see him bring home his first win in a F2 car, but I may have done what is a no-no, and that would be a commentator's curse. Top 8 reversed. Man, I should have done research. I unfortunately don't have enough time to read all those rules. That's a big page. Oh, it seems like we've lost someone though, unfortunately. Who did we lose? There's one trident. Oh, F2 versus only top 8. Interesting. So we may see an easier time for Smoke One is what I'm hearing then. Yeah, unfortunately we have a little bit of time here as Monkey Mafia seems to be setting up the lobby again. Flying through the chat as all these guys are just lighting up the Discord. But I guess I'll plug our Twitter page here. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at F1_mid for all the results, the schedules of the Midwest F1 League. So please give us a follow there. It'd be much appreciated as we post everything through that Twitter page. And if you don't watch us on YouTube, make sure you do, as all the videos of the full streams, and now we are getting into highlights of past races, will find themselves on that YouTube page. So please go give our first highlight video a check, as it has currently got our most views on the video, which is really good to see. But it is highlight videos, and highlight videos are the future. Who really wants to sit there and watch the whole thing? I know I do, but you don't have to. You can just go watch our highlight video on YouTube. It's just as much appreciated as you watching it on Twitch and on YouTube. But if you want to watch all three, that'd be great. And heck, if you want to do the fourth and go watch and go follow us on Twitter, do it all. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. We're gonna have to figure out some quick notes here for our Twitch channel, but thank you very much for following, liking, and all that good stuff all over the place. Much appreciated, and it doesn't go unnoticed. Monkey Mafia is still getting this lobby set up here. We did lose someone, unfortunately. I'm not sure who we lost. I mean, I guess I can go play which driver we lost. Okay, Campos 1. Where's Mahi? Campos 2. Arden 1, Arden 2. Bertuzzi. Trident 1. Trident 2. It's going to be the last one. Prima. Prima 1. Prima 2. MP Motorsport. MP Motorsport 1. MP Motorsport 2. Running out of teams here. Sauber Jr. 1. Sauber Jr. 2. Carlin 1. Carlin 2. Dams. It's going to be the last team. Dams 1. Dams 2. Like, it's going to be. Okay. Then Art, the best pawns. We have Art, the best pawns. But we don't have Art, who filled in for Cass. Yeah, who left? So we're doing two 25% races here. So we're doing, seems to be doing another 25% race here. Oh, howdy Cam. Nice to see you in the chat. It was good to watch there, Cam. Always good stuff from on board. You know, I'm not sure what this is going to be called, because up in the booth is Series 1, down in the basement booth is Series 2. I'm not sure what Series 3 is going to be. Yeah, I got a pretty good... No, I didn't get a good look at that, Enrique, no. Sorry, dude, didn't have any bit of look. And yeah, you won't be P1, unfortunately. As we are seconds away. There we go, so we're about to get this going into our sprint race now. Which will be another 15 laps here at Circuit Paul Ricard in France. Let's do a little background of Circuit Paul Ricard, actually, hey? Okay, near Marseille. Okay, you may have seen that fight between Marseille and PSG a couple weeks back, with the Marseille players saying a little bit of racist things to Neymar, which he didn't take too lightly, and ended it with a little bit of, we'll just say, soccer player fisticuffs. Ooh, Ricard wanted to experience the challenge of building a racetrack. The circuit has been a part of the FIA Formula One since 2018 Formula One World Championship, as well as previously serving in many times in the 70s, a couple times in the 80s, and once in the early 90s. Ah. Fun stuff from the circuit Paul Ricard in La Castellie, France. I think I said that right. There we go, as we're going right into it here, as we get our 5 lead rights as they come up and go out right about now. Oh, that was pretty good. JC Black getting off pretty cleanly here, as we have a little bit of movement there, and it seems as, unfortunately, Barry slams into the wall. Just finding himself way in the back. Blackley's going to hold his position. Right on board with Narniel now. Trying to hold off Smokemon, as Smokemon has already jumped up quite a few spaces. Kenny is right with Mahi and will collect that position into 5th. As Kenny has already jumped up a couple of spots. Little bit of a battle here, as we seem to, all the drivers still staying fairly tight to each other. Kenny right now side by side with Smokemon, as quite a few drivers seem to have opted for the mediums here. The yellow flag back in the late stages of Sector 1, early stages of Sector 2, wheel to wheel with Kenny and Smokemon. Smokemon taking that inside line, Kenny looking at a switchback, not able to make it stick. What am I doing? There we go, let me find my bearings. Mahi getting a little bit of... That's not fun to be on board with. There we go. We can look at Lord Zed tracing up that pack, as he's going to have to deal with Asnick, who takes a nice little lunge into the inside here, also on the hard tires. Lord Zed's able to stick it, as it's not the first time we've seen someone lunge that inside, get that initial position, then lose it, as... Who is that? That is Smokemon going off. He's going to have to turn around virtually and get himself back on track, as he's going to have quite a bit of work to do here. Kenny and Narniel in a nice little battle for 3rd place here. JC Black opening that gap up now, over a second between him and the Garrus back. Kenny looking to hold off Narniel, as some point there I missed it, but we lost GR Phonius. Kenny have a tough little task here, pulling off Narniel and getting that position on Garrus Fogg, getting right on the back, almost clipping him. Coming up nice and tight. Now wheel to wheel coming out of turn 7 here. Garrus taking the inside and shooting straight through it. No DRS yet. It seems like we had Mahi. Looks like that went way off. As we have a nice little clump here. It's 4 cars. We have back-to-back 2 wide. Nicky going inside. Narniel opting out. A nice little bit of tight driving there, as Nicky and Mahi, teammates, are going to find themselves in 3rd and 4th now. There's 6 laps to go. JC Black seems to have this one going pretty cleanly now, as we got a nice little battle for 3rd place is what it's going to be ending up looking like. Asnick kind of bringing in that rear. Tim Lee getting passed by the best Pawns, as he's got quite a bit of work to do to gain himself some time. Mahi and Narniel have opted for pits. I'm not sure if that is mandatory in the 8-lap race. This will be the Garris Vac and Nicky coming through your screen there. Nicky right on the back of Garris Vac. He will get DRS here. He's just got to keep in good traction and get a good jump at Garris Vac through turn 7 here, which he seems that he has. Now within 3 cents, now a quarter of a second, the Garris Vac looking at the middle right there, parking his car right in the middle. Nicky takes a late lunge as they are wheel to wheel, getting on board with the broadcast cam as we see Nicky finishing up this move, and now Garris Vac unfortunately dropping out of the podium. As he's wheel to wheel with Cam, that's fun to see. Coming through that big swooping turn of turn 10, it seems that Garris Vac got a good piece of that, whatever the heck that was. It seems to blow whatever that sign up was. Cam in 3rd place with 5 laps to go. Should have a good chance at collecting 2nd here on Nicky. The Vest Pawns did overtake Kenny at one point there. Now Kenny right on the back, right tight on him with DRS. A nice sideboard cam there of the Best Pawns, as Best Pawns brakes really late and launches himself, seems to be getting a little bit of corner cut. Now finds himself back side by side with Kenny, as Kenny and the Best Pawns get tight and clip, and then the Best Pawns finds himself off, which will give Tim Lee, MX Blocksome, and Smokemon a spot up. There we go. Cam looking at taking a lunge, but doesn't have the confidence braking for that turn there. Nicky going a little bit wide. Cam coming right back at him. Nicky will have the traction and hold on to 2nd place now, as he's going to hold off Cam for still quite a few more laps here. It'll be quite the task to hold 2nd place. As maybe if we see Cam dispatch Nicky in this straight stretch into turn 1, as there you go, Cam taking a lunge to the inside, but Nicky will have the better traction. Excuse me, sorry, we'll have the better traction, and Cam, speaking of traction, Cam loses a little bit of traction, is going to find himself still within a second, but now 3/4 of a second back. As Nicky going wide will help out Cam a little bit. Cam can get a nice little turnout here, as we've lost, who would that be? I think that's Corvette. Yes, unfortunately that was Corvette. Kenny going quickest here. Also taking 4th place in one clean swoop. unfortunately has just under a 3-second gap between him and third place, so still quite a bit of work to go, and he will have a couple of high-quality drivers in Cam and Nicky to deal with. Ooh. Cam a little bit heavy on that throttle. Now that's going to drop him back probably a little bit too far for him to be able to get close enough for that DRS zone, as it seems like within 0.3 of a second is going to be what you need on the car in front when you're coming out of turn 7 to truly take that lunge in. Cam tries a little bit of Tokyo Drift to see if that can help him out in turn 8, but unfortunately it actually loses him quite a bit of positions, and then he gets really hard on the throttle and finds himself dropping back as he's going to go right down maybe into 7th place here. As yeah, Bloxham is going to come past him, and the best pawn, sorry, will seem to hold 8th place, and now Nicky has quite a bit of breathing room and can just solely look on closing that gap between him and JC Blackley as he gets a little bit up on the curb and loses some traction there. Jumping on with the best pawns here as he is coming through sector 3. Having MX Bloxham in his sights. Still should be within a second, but he does go a little bit wide. Doesn't lose too much time, if not gains time in that turn, as Bloxham must not have kept it clean. Gets a really good jump out of turn 15 there into this first stretch into turn 1. Won't have the time or the pace to make up to take a lunge into turn 1, as he will find himself going a little bit wide. Monkey Mafia going into the pits here. See Barry collecting a penalty, unfortunately, after that crash out real early into this race. He hasn't been able to make up that time. Getting back on Seabury, he had a really unfortunate finish at Zandvoort. Representing the Renault, him and his teammate in Cam had a solid looking 1-3 finish setting up, but unfortunately the lap cars, oh, there we go, as Best Pawns get rates up on the back of Bloxham and kind of gives him a little usher saying, go or get out of my way. As they're coming through this flat out turn 10, seems as Asnick and Freeman, as they switch sides here, Freeman kind of opt for the inside there, as Asnick overtook him into 10th. Going a little bit of wide, Freeman may be able to get in the back as he gets a really good jump out here. Asnick will open up that lane, as now they're going to go wheel to wheel, coming flat out through turn 10. Freeman collects a penalty, and will collect 10th place as he gets a little bit of a lockup, and there you go, Asnick jumps right back up into 10th place. Some pretty nice looking driving here from, I believe it's the two tier 2 drivers. As I say that, the broadcaster's curse comes back, as unfortunately Freeman loses traction and now also loses 3 seconds on Asnick, and now is going to have to deal with Mahi for 11th place here. Ooh. Falling into 13th now after everyone seeming to wanting to drift today in these F2 cars. Lord Zed and Mahi now in a nice little battle for 11th place. Oh, unfortunately, Bloxham has found himself off here. Now dropping down. He's going to have no damage on the wing. Interesting. Smoke Bomb getting ever so close to Garris Fack. Oh, what do we got here? We got a massive battle for first place that I'm missing out on, as Nicky finds himself in first. JC Blackley, sorry, dropping into third, now into second. When did that get so tight up there? Kenny looking for his first, I guess, win in the Midwest F1 League. Maybe trying to take that provisional monkey off his back. as the only thing that separates him from that now would be Nicky, as he's been right on the back of Nicky all night in this 8-lap sprint race. Who gets a nice little turnout, gets a cleaner racing line, and gets a little bit of better pace than Nicky. May opt to take a look. No, he seems to be holding that space behind as he stays real tight as that gap floats in between a quarter of a second and a half a second. Blackley not giving up this first place battle here as he finds himself still in third. Unfortunately, doesn't look like he's going to be able to take a good enough run. As I said before, that 3/10 gap is kind of what you need coming into turn 7. Kenny thinks about it but doesn't end up taking that final lunge. He's going to have to come up with a little bit of magic in sector 3 here. Smokemon ended up taking over Gare's back into that turn 8-9 chicane. As Smokemon is somewhat too far gone for that third place battle, but Kenny's still very much in this hunt for top spot on the podium as it may come into this final turn. Unfortunately, Enrique going off and finds himself DNFing for the second time tonight. Swooping through turn 13, coming into the tight little switchback, I guess, at turn 14. Kenny seemed to have lost some time. He may takes a look at the inside here. Unfortunately, doesn't truly take a large lunge, and he picks up a 2-second time penalty for his troubles as Nicky will collect the win, and Kenny will collect another, I say yet another second place in the Midwest F1 League. Still, a podium is a podium is a podium, but a second place is a second place is a second place. Cam and the best pawns coming in 6th and 7th. Narniel looking to collect 8th place fairly cleanly, as too far gone behind his teammate of Lord Zed for 9th. Asnick doesn't seem to have enough time to make up that spot, as actually he will get it, as Mahi must have collected up some penalties today. Tim Lee was having a fairly nice race, but lost it in the middle laps there. Unfortunately, C. Berry's race was kind of ended early after that hard crash at the start. Found himself way back of the pack and in the wall early. As that'll be it for us here, as the last car comes over the line, as C. Berry goes into 16th place. Oh, he's representing the car of Guan Yu Zhou, as I'm a Guan Yu Zhou fan, so I'm happy to see that. Nicky, driver of the day, good for him. As used to representing the Mercedes in the Thursday night Tier 1 League, but now also seems to be representing the Campos Renault colors of the Tier 3 League. Couple of nice races that we had today for the preseason. If that's anything to kind of steer us into Tier 1, then I'm quite happily excited for what is going to be. As please do tune into this league. As I said, Monkey Mafia should be joining me for that opening session, as he was racing today, but that was only to fill in a spot. You'll be finding us as the Midwest F1 League finds themselves in Mexico for the first time, 1 week today. As I'll try and rip through this order quick, as Nicky finds himself winning, Kenny second, JC Blackley unfortunately losing first to third in that final lap there. Smokemon fourth, finding himself in F1 tomorrow. Garris Vac fifth with another solid finish. Cam, the best pawns, Narniel, Lord Zed, Asnick, Mahi in 11th. From 5th to 11th I railed off there. Bloxham 12th, Monkey Mafia 13th, Tim Lee 14th, Freeman, Seaberry, Corvette in 15th, 16th, and 17th, and the two DNFs are Enrique and Phonius, as we only had 19 drivers for this. But as I said, please do tune in tomorrow, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, And then if you are where if you are where Stat is. Oh man, I should have this. Oh, what am I doing? I shouldn't even try. I think it's just -5. I think it's gonna be 11. I think it's 11 o'clock where Staten is in Australia there. But please do tune in tomorrow for some high quality Tier 1 racing of the Midwest F1 League, where you can see your usual favorites of Mosser and Cam, as we saw here today, Kenny, Random Serious. Actually, I don't think Random Serious will be there tomorrow. But your usual favorite drivers, as you're followed by on the Friday of your secondary favorite drivers, maybe actually your favorite drivers there. So the Tier 2 League, as on Friday we're going to be in USA, and tomorrow in Tier 1 we're going to be back in Monza at the Italian Grand Prix, as F2 was just there on Friday of last week. Opening race for this Tier 3 League, will it be in Mexico on September 30th, 1 week from today, 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, and whatever time it is for Stat in Australia. I should know this. It's 17 hours. I should be able to rail off that math easily. I think it's 1 o'clock. Yeah, 1 o'clock. There we go. 1 o'clock if you're in Australia, as I think they have separate time zones there. But 1 o'clock where he will be. Yes, there will be a couple qualifying bands, or one at least. Be sure to tune in. It is 11:30. I thought it was 1:30. I thought it was 17 hours ahead from me. Might be only 15 hours ahead. But whatever. Follow us on Twitter. We tweet fairly consistent here. We will post the results of these two races, so please be sure to check this out. You'll find this whole entire video up on our YouTube channel, so please be sure to follow us there. We are hoping to see you tomorrow night and Thursday night to finish off your week in Monza and then the USA. So please tune in then. It is great to see you folks, and have a good rest of your Wednesday night or Thursday afternoon if you're in Australia.